ML Sports Platter. It's all brought to you by Stanley Law Offices. And look at who I have brought on, a good friend of mine, my first sales boss in the radio industry as well.
Oh, no.
Yeah, really. This one right here.
You
Huh?
really did. You really just did say that.
I had to do it. But look, storyteller, musician, friend, and obviously just doing great things with Music for the Mission. You can catch her living well on YouTube and all over the social media as well, and working with Stanley and the gang and doing an awesome job. Please donate, by the way, to Music for the Mission at musicforthemission.org. It's my good friend, Angela Moonan. Welcome aboard.
Hey, Michael, thank you. Thanks. This has been a while coming, so I appreciate having the FaceTime with you here.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, I couldn't do it without Stanley and couldn't do it without Music for the Mission. I know the message for people out there, a lot of my sports fans out there getting the message for Music for the Mission all the time. I'm donate. But it is such a great group, and it's taken a lot of huge strides. And you guys have had another big year in 2024 and looking into next year as well. And people don't realize it. I mean, it's a couple bucks really does go a long way.
It does. $1 feeds 3 people, and we use a metric from Rescue Mission, who we partnered with originally, and that's where Mission for Music for the Mission comes from. And then we branched out over the last decade or so, and through mini grants, et cetera. And we ensure that money, 100% of that money, by the way, goes directly to the communities that we're serving and to the folks who are out there on the front lines and can make the greatest impact. And any administrative things that we have, Joe Stanley and myself fund that personally. So we don't dip into the coffers at all on M4M for supporting it. Everything goes to helping those who need it the most.
So you're obviously one of the most positive people I know. And, you've got the great background, you've got the Living Well platform and the word of the day and all that sort of thing. And sometimes when I'm breaking down sports and I critique somebody and, people are like, oh, you're always negative. And I'm like, no, there's a difference between negative and reality.
And constructive. I mean, there's constructive too, right? Which you and
Sure.
I have worked on that over the years, right? And supporting one another. And just the idea, just whether it's through Music for the Mission and helping your neighbor, whether it's through the work that you do every day and the people that you communicate with, Mike, on a regular basis, athletes. I mean, we're all looking for connection, better focus, feeling better in our lives. And so whether we're giving and being generous, or we're supporting one another in the workplace, or we're working to balance our life and athletics, I mean, the focus that it takes, how do those athletes come off the field and go into their personal lives and have energy for that too, right? And be able to be fully present with people. So through all of that, I mean, yes, we have word of the week and positivity is important, but Choose Well is a program I started to develop about a year ago. And it's quite a robust program now of content for work-life balance and finding that where's our wellspring of resilience and courage and empathy and patience. I think we could all use a little bit more of that nowadays, right? So that's and my life has just kind of unfolded that way. We started back in sales together, and I've just followed the path of my own kind of well-being and let it inform me as I go, and the feedback that I get from collaborators and clients, and we're all looking to feel better and be better. So any way I can help contribute to that, that's my mission.
Yeah, and it's all happening, on a shorter clock too. I mean, we only have so much time in the day, and we're always, I wish we had 30 hours or 34 or 5 hours. And the same goes for athletics and the mind. And there's so much stuff now with social media and interviews. And I think about Fran Brown as the head coach of Syracuse. He jumps from being a secondary coach at Georgia to being a head coach. And even though it's a program change from what they were, winning 2 national titles and being a power, to a smaller situation at Syracuse, he jumped in job status. His job is bigger, but the program's smaller. So with that comes way more interviews. He's a CEO, so to speak. He's got to, he's the face of the program, on and on and on. And so there's this thing in sports, whether it's Fran Brown or my favorite quarterback, Josh Allen of the Buffalo Bills, this guy right here, the best player in the NFL right now, by the way.
Yes.
There's this thing that athletes always say, and really musicians sometimes say it too, Angela, if they're like in a huge band, especially, block out the noise. You hear that a lot, block out the noise, stay within your walls. You hear the cliches post game, like, we know what we can do. We control what we do, blah, 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 blah. How much do you think goes into that? How real do you think it is when you hear people say, block out the noise? How important is that, blocking out the noise? You just brought up focus, and I think that's a huge thing in terms of what we do here, myself covering sports, you in your world, is block out the noise in that focus part, because these athletes, they got a lot going on. There's a lot of balls in the air right now.
Yeah, it is about reducing distractions. And that's not, that's not an easy game. And the interesting thing about athletes is that they're such high performance individuals, right? I mean, I look at the athleticism of some of these, like your Josh Allen. These people are superhuman.
Yeah.
And at the same time, they still operate in the day-to-day world like the rest of us and with the rest of us, right? They don't live in a vacuum. And so the idea is that, yeah, it's very possible, but you you want to choose to practice a quietness within yourself, a mindfulness, and a presence, which is really, they're one and the same, and reduce the distractions as much as you possibly can, of course, but it's also about that presence in your life, not just for your fellow athletes and your coaches and the fans, but for yourself, so that, and certainly for your family and your closest friends and supporters. Because at the end of the day, there's always the saying that you get to the end of your life and there's not many people who say, I wish I'd worked more. Most people, and I think there is a tendency to think about, I wish I had 34 or 40 hours, or what's happening next week, or what's happening tomorrow, what's happening. We're very future-based.
Yeah.
We're very future-based culture. Problem is your life never takes place in the future. Your life and the meaning that you give it happen right here and right now. Right here. That's it. That's all there is the present moment. Right? So if we can learn mindfulness tools, and we can learn to be mindful of the words that's why I do word of the week. I know we make light of it, but
yeah,
your words are a reflection of what's going on inside your brain and what's going on inside your body. And so when I work with people, I listen to the language, and I watch for the cues, certainly the physical cues, but I listen to the language, the way they're telling their story. Because when you shift your story, you shift your life. That's it. So when you're hyping up for a big interview, a big game, I work with CH, one of your, one of my longtime clients. And when we developed In Your Corner, one of the things that I taught them back then, and they still do it to this day, is called power posing.
Yeah.
And it lowers your stress and cortisol, the cortisol in your bloodstream, which is your stress hormone, and raises your testosterone. So you can do simple things like that to reduce stress and make you more present and more resilient in the moment, more courageous too. But then there's the softer nuances of, what words are you using? How are you speaking to your spouse? Your kids, the stranger in line at the grocery store. Do you, that homeless person on the street, do you just look away? Or do you, it's not that you have to hand them money. And if you choose to do that, and that makes you feel good, and it helps them, then that's your choice. But sometimes just a kind glance in their direction can shift their ease just for a little wee bit. And it's those little moments we talk about, Mike, whether it's on the field, right? I mean, you talk about the 2-minute drill, you talk about, now I'm not, I'm a spectator, right? I'm not out on the field, but I understand it, have been around it, and certainly been around the Convertino family long enough to know the importance of sports in so many
Never heard of
people's
them.
lives. No, it's like we've never heard of Matt Park, right?
That's right. That's right.
I had to throw Matt Park's
Yeah,
name in there.
yeah.
We've got this inside running
That's
joke. But when I see the joy
yeah.
that that a game brings people, the entertainment, the joy, the thrill of the competition, all of that it's so great for your happiness hormones. What's on the other side of that, because every coin has two sides, is do you have so many distractions going on? Is your energy so spent on the field that when you come off the field, or let's use it metaphorically for work, when you leave the office, have you emptied your tank? And you have not a whole lot left for yourself or for your family. What ends up happening is, of course, eventually that takes its toll quietly, but very dramatically on the body and the mind, and certainly the quality of the moments and the memories that you do have the opportunity to make with your family. And in the end, that's, to me, that presence, that engagement, and the memories and experiences you're creating that's why we're here.
Yeah. So we're living for the now. We don't live in the future. And so what's the advice here? Just cash your retirement right now.
Well, it's no, it's not all it's
almost
like you walk with both feet forward,
Yeah.
meaning you say you live with this paradox, okay? Because as soon as you start to embrace both, like it doesn't have to be an either or. You can certainly plan for the future, and you can envision, and envisioning and imagining that's innovation. That's how we progress. At the same time, while you're setting those benchmarks for yourself, can you find the sweet satisfaction in the now? It's a dual thing. It really is. It's both sides. It's honoring both aspects of you, the aspirational side of you that wants to be better and expand, and whether that's expand your bank account or your circle of friends or have more children or bigger home, whatever that looks like, more volunteering, start a new career, whatever that looks like, that's growth, that's creativity in action. That's what we're here to do. We're also here to enjoy it along the way. And so if we're always reaching and always imagining and never pausing to be where we are, we miss the whole show.
Yeah, that's a good point. I got one more for you. Angela Moonan is our guest here on the ML Sports Platter. One of the hardest things for people to understand when they watch Tiger Woods was, I can't believe he doesn't look at a fan and slap fives. And, he was like this when he was in his prime, the whole way, going back to like Earl Woods and how he trained him. And it was, screaming and swearing at him when he was hitting balls as a young kid to get him prepped for this one day greatest of all time golfer, which he thought he was going to be. The kid didn't have a childhood, he was Tiger Woods right from the get-go. And so my question for you is, with that straight and narrow type of thing, I thought about Tiger this morning before our interview, because there's so much of like, he would walk out on the course and instantly people would look, they lost. Before anybody swung a club, you would hear that from people. They lost. You took the court against Michael Jordan. You lost. Just Jordan being there, the presence, an athlete looking at him, the way they lost. Wayne Gretzky, they lost. And then they perform, and then they really lost. So the mental strength of the athlete and keeping that so high where they can crush others. Do you recommend an athlete to get a mental strength coach? How far does it go? Are there studies behind it that make one better than the other? Like, what, the mind is so powerful, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You're talking about mastery, right? At a level of,
I was looking for.
And what you will find often, though, with a lot of those stories, is that look at other areas of their personal life.
Yeah.
And it's almost, in some cases, I don't know that I don't believe that it has to be either or. I don't believe that you, in order to be the best master at what you do and the penultimate golfer, or the Michael Jordan, I don't I don't have that kind of mastery in athletics. But I can tell you, I went to school for music, and the practice hours and the, I've done the 10,000 hours kind
Oh,
of
yeah.
thing, which is the benchmark of
Yeah.
mastery, right? In
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
I've sung and performed all over the world, Carnegie Hall, Windsor Castle for the Queen, all over the planet. And what I can tell you is that self-talk and the self-check with the ego is where things tend to go awry. When you let the ego drive the bus, then you become disengaged from the other aspects of who you are. And the other aspects of who you are much bigger than the ego. And you understand from the spirituality and the things that I do in my work, and Choose Well, certainly. I don't walk into companies and talk about spirituality, but it's all based in that connection and feeling like you are a part of something much bigger and more powerful than you. I've got two final points and I'll wrap that up. I've got a quote from Muhammed Ali, who was one of the greats, right? And he said, champions aren't made in gyms. Champions are made from something they have deep inside them. A dream, a desire, a vision. And that's what you were talking about, right, Mike? A vision.
Yep.
They have to have stamina. They have to be just a little bit faster. They have to have the skill and the will, but the will must be stronger than the skill. And what I would say is that will, if you have the willpower, my belief is you have the willpower to master something at that level, then you have the capability not to sacrifice the other 80% of your life. Meaning that when you come off the course, can you check the ego? When you come off the court, can you check the ego and say, I'm just Josh Allen from XYZ small town. And at the end of the day, I put my pants on one pant leg at a time. I tie my shoes. I drive a car. I do everything the way that others do it. And the things that bind us are stronger and greater than the things that divide us. So I think great athletes must take the time to look for the commonalities that they have with their other humans, so that they can honor that which is great within them, and they can foster the discipline and have the will to see it through to that kind of level of performance. And then also recognize there are other parts of them that are longing to be fulfilled. And that if they have the capability to do what they do on the court or the field, they certainly can take a percentage of that and devote it to presence, to empathy, to being generous. And I know a lot of athletes volunteer, et cetera, and that does bring their heart some goodness, right? So that's, I think, yes, you're right. You got to have the balance, and you have to make a conscious effort to meditate, to get quiet, and to devote some energy to the other parts of you.
This was great. I'm glad you came on to kind of share your thoughts and kind of do the crossover into the athletic world as well. Angela Moonan, awesome job. Choose Well, Living Well on the YouTube. Make sure you subscribe. And I couldn't do it without you. Couldn't do, what I do, without Stanley and Music for the Mission. It's been awesome to be able to have you, on a daily basis, really. And I've known you now for 15 years. So
yeah,
time's flying.
Yeah, we get the text going and stuff.
We do.
I will say this Sunday is the big concert.
I was gonna make sure you
concert.
plug that. Yes.
Yes, for Music for the Mission. We founded Music for the Mission because music is this universal language that everyone enjoys and gets to come together and have fun, hear beautiful music, celebrate together, and do a good thing at the same time. So the donations at the door, it's at the Roman Catholic Diocese of Syracuse, the large Catholic church downtown in Syracuse. And the concert's at 2:00. It's the Mozart's coronation mass. There are like a couple hundred singers, including area high schools and colleges, and then also the choir with wonderful regional soloists that are world renowned. So very, very 5-star level of musicianship, and it's quite a holiday experience. So I would invite everyone. The concert's free. The donations are voluntary at the door. And of course, you can visit musicforthemission.org to find out more about the organization, how Stanley Law supports it, and how far it's come over the last 15 years.
Yeah, no doubt. Follow both on all the social platforms, Stanley Law Offices and Music for the Mission. Angela Moonan, thank you so much. It was a treat to have you.
Happy Thanksgiving, Michael.